The recording hath commenced. Jim's not on here, or he'd tell you not to use naughty language. Everybody, welcome to your November 2020 All Hands. Thanks so much for carving an hour out of your evening to come and check in and see what's happening in the best damn territory in the country. Some fairly meaty updates are going to be dropped by the geographic area team, so stand by for those. And with that, let's get into our day. Welcome, Great Pumpkin. I think Steve put this in here because he loves peanuts, which is fair and cute. I hope everyone did have an enjoyable Halloween. If you were home and if you were deployed, I hope it was also relatively peaceful. Some significant updates on all of that stuff coming up as well. Our update format for this month will be much the same as we've seen in previous months. So no significant change to the agenda. And we will roll right into, I believe, what everybody's favorite part of the entire All Hands, which is Teddy's gradual progression through the months, but also just my generic preview of the month that was and the month that's coming. As if you guys haven't sort of picked up on the overall theme of where we've been and where we're going, we're kind of in November. It's that transitional month where we sort of try to conclude all of the projects that we've taken on throughout the year and begin to prepare ourselves for what 2021 has to hold. I think that we will see this month probably the demobilization of our major hurricane responses, also some significant resets across the board with leadership, and then the grand planning phase of 2021 as we continue our march through the world of COVID. So a lot of implications for all you guys and your teams. Your time and attention is appreciated on this. And then just a small but powerful plug for all of the work that the operations teams are doing out there. I was lucky enough to get down to Orange. I know Dennis was down there, and I ran into many of you there as well. If you guys haven't had a chance to get out in the field and kind of get your hands dirty, I encourage you to do it before the end of the month, because I think after that it'll be a little bit of a pause before we have another opportunity. Unless the last 20 days of hurricane season drop a surprise in our laps. And, there's nothing quite so restorative or such a good reminder as what Team Rubicon's all about, as getting out there, getting into the field and helping homeowners and interacting with other gray shirts. I know that I needed it, and I'm sure that some of you guys could use that refresher as well. So that being said, let's get into the month. So our standing orders remain in place. We will continue to stand by to kick the shit out of the coronavirus. We will continue to kick the shit out of the hurricanes that have afflicted our territory. And we will continue to stand by to kick new disasters in the teeth as they impact us. I know you guys are locked and loaded and ready to take care of that. So I will hand it over to Steve and our ops team to discuss our current response and planning efforts.
Hey, everybody, thanks for getting on. So you're going to see some pretty awesome numbers here. Neighbors Helping Neighbors, as always, continues to grow. We're over 9,000 completed. The map there, obviously, is really filling up along the major populated areas. So really cool to see. The last map that they did was October 30th. You could see that a lot of the stuff has gone gray since Kick the King has stood down, but you're going to see that we do have multiple core ops going. COVID specifically, where we ended was 327 COVID related operations. So everyone here in some way, shape, or form was a part of making that happen on behalf of the South Central. And so just a big 30,000 foot view there of what you guys were a part of. So congratulations to all of you and your teams. Core operations, we're sitting at 41 core capabilities throughout the year, with over 3,000 homeowners assisted, and rebuild is still doing what they do. Next slide. Again, Neighbors Helping Neighbors is still something that you can track on. You can see there a breakdown of what the current numbers look like by different subtype and the fiscal impact that has had. I know that the age limitations or geographic limitations can be frustrating at times for the different deployments. So please always keep Neighbors Helping Neighbors in mind. Please share that with new gray shirts and everything as well. We definitely want to maximize that moving forward.
All right, we'll hand it over to Amanda in the geographic area update.
Hi everyone, this is Amanda. I'm going to go ahead and actually let Dennis dive into North Texas and Oklahoma, and then I'll speak after each geo area, or after all the geos.
All right, good morning everybody from North Texas. For the past 30 days, we had 2 iterations of the Crying Eagle info session. Both were small audiences, but very informational. And of course, I did one from the field, so it was great to have hands-on, eyes-on experience, personal interaction with all the gray shirts out there while we were delivering that information. It was a fantastic time. We're looking at doing one possibly on the 10th of November. It all depends on the actual need for it. But also in November, we have 2 other events. On 14 November, we've got a virtual Grab Your Go Bag and Social. It's going to be co-hosted with Christine Booth from Oklahoma. Looking forward to that one. And then also, we received our trailer back from Crying Eagle down in Orange this past weekend. So we're going to be scheduling a trailer inventory here in the coming weeks. As far as current ops, the Tarrant Area Food Bank finally rolled its flag up on the 16th. And you can see kind of the numbers right there. Fantastic job by both of our leased employees, Andy and Sarah. They did a great job, and I appreciate them holding down the fort out there. Next slide. So looking forward, Amanda's going to, I guess, talk a little bit more about this one, but we're looking at restructuring Oklahoma and North Texas as far as the metros are concerned. I think there was somewhere around a dozen metros in North Texas alone, and we're looking at consolidating them down into 4, which is going to be a little bit more manageable. So you can see the map right here. These are closely aligned with the TDIM district maps, and you'll see the Abilene, Wichita Falls will roll into TDIM districts 3 and 7, DFWs 4A and B, as well as 22, Tyler, Longview 5 and 6, and then also Austin and Waco are going to be rolled up into North Texas, and that's going to be TDIM districts 11, 12, and 23. Oklahoma was a little bit trickier given the boundaries, the way they were laid out, but in the end, we kind of took a look at them, worked with leadership from Oklahoma, and this is where it's going to lay out. So if any questions, that's all I have.
Next slide.
Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. So yeah, this is for South Texas. I was just gonna brief you guys on. You'll have to click. Whoever's clicking. Brief you guys on the breakdown of the metro spaces for the South Texas area. So just click like 2 or 3 more times. There's going to be 6 metros. I know I sent a message out trying to get some feedback on what we wanted to name the metros. So this is what we landed on. The numbers that you see on the map are the current numbers of leaders in each metro right now. So we have a little bit of work to do, but we'll be working on building up teams in those metros during the rest of this year and next year. So currently, we have 1 South Texas leader, and by that I mean over all 6 of these metros will have a volunteer leadership team, but right now that team consists of 1 person, so we'll also be working to build up that team as well. Click. So going forward, like Steve just talked about, the Neighbors Helping Neighbors is an excellent way to get out there and just do some stuff and stay involved. We have quite a few Neighbors Helping Neighbors opportunities that we're pushing out for the greater Houston area right now. So if you're in the area, you want to get out there, there's plenty of stuff that you can do. the medical bridges, mission continues, information has already dropped. And you'll be seeing the bridging for tomorrow and the Reach Across America details probably in the next day or two. We're going to have another upcoming cigar social probably in the next couple weeks. And then just recently got the trailer back. Cindy said it's already been reset and ready to go again. And then probably, I don't know exactly when, but she's planning on scheduling a like a saw kit maintenance event to get the saw kit back up to speed. Click. And then lastly, our Metro newsletter for Greater Houston will drop the second Saturday of every month going forward. Kind of got that on a little bit better of a schedule there. And then you'll be seeing in other metro areas newsletters dropping on a pretty decent schedule to come, but not just yet. So click. And then lastly, I just wanted to cover new leaders in the metro. So for Greater Houston, we had a membership deputy come on board this past month, a new comms coordinator, and then a couple people in field ops. And then I think we had one new planner in Greater Houston so far. The rest of the metros haven't onboarded anyone new recently. But like I said, we're working on that. So, and I think that's it. Any questions? If you click one more time, the best part is yet to come. There we go.
That is fantastic.
I don't want to know how long that took.
All right, so I guess it's my turn. All right, hey everybody. So it's Evan. How are y'all doing? All right, so just some updates from Louisiana and Arkansas. As you can see, we're also excited to be subdividing our two states into metro areas. And with Louisiana, we've divided it into 5 metro areas, as you guys can see here. We have the Shreveport area, Monroe area, Alexandria, and Fort Polk area. Also Lake Charles, Lafayette, we've combined those into one, as well as the New Orleans and Baton Rouge area. We've done the same thing with Arkansas as well. So we've got that divided into 4 metro areas with Texarkana, Little Rock, and Pine Bluff. And then we have Jonesboro and Fayetteville and Fort Smith metro areas. So like I said, Amanda's going to be talking more about those later on. And then we've got lots of exciting events that we're hosting in November. We've got 2 Grab Your Go Bag events on the 9th and the 17th. And on the 19th, we're going to be hosting a What the H is volunteer leadership and how do I get involved. And so with that, we're going to be discussing various TR volunteer leadership opportunities, how to get involved, how to apply, what to expect, things like that. And then we're also doing, last but not least, a Coffee with the Gray Shirt on the 21st. So feel free to join us for any of those and feel free to invite other people as well. And so that's what we've got going on. Over to you, Amanda.
Thanks, Evan. All right, I'm here with your New Mexico and West Texas update. Dan's currently changing his socks right now, so happy for him in Puerto Vallarta. So I'll be filling in. Upcoming events, we have several neighbors helping neighbors opportunities, both in the New Mexico side and in West Texas. We also have a virtual workshop that's hosted by the Geo area on November 16th, Introduction to TR Operations. It's sort of almost like a tabletop exercise for Gray Shirts about how we spin up and host operations. And then in December, I'm kind of shifting gears a little bit. I want to focus on leadership development for the leaders in New Mexico and West Texas. So doing a couple of different resilient cities based like training opportunities for leaders specifically. So I'll be emailing more about that in the future. And then again, looking at those metro boundaries, we're consolidating 12 different metros in New Mexico down to the 4 main metros, which are Southwest New Mexico, 4 Corners, North Central, and East New Mexico. And then we have 3 counties allocated to El Paso, Las Cruces. So similar to Fort Smith area in Arkansas and Texarkana, There's some counties that are within one state but belong to a metro that's technically in another state. So those 3 counties, anybody that lives in those 3 counties of New Mexico will be part of, email traffic and communications. Anybody that lives in that area that wants to become a leader will be part of the El Paso Las Cruces metro. They will count towards the El Paso Las Cruces metro metrics. But if we're looking at overall, like for some reason, like state metrics for New Mexico, anybody that lives in those 3 counties would still count towards the state of New Mexico, because that actually keys off of the mailing address. State is listed in each contact's mailing address. So it is a little bit of like kind of a weird situation for those 3 counties. And then there's 2 counties in Oklahoma that will belong to Fort Smith, Arkansas. And there's 2 counties in northern Texas that will belong to Texarkana, Arkansas. And this is really just to kind of help with streamlining, locations that straddle the border, making sure it's one team, that it's cohesive, that they can communicate with the gray shirts, regardless of which side of the border they live on. And then in the West Texas side, we've got 5 metro areas. And if we go on to the next slide, please. Kind of want to talk a little bit about how this will affect all of you. So, obviously we're going from many small metros to less number of much larger metros. So more landmass, more gray shirts in every metro. And this will kind of allow a few things. Combining the metros means like there might be leaders in 2 different metros currently who are combining into one single metro. So this is like kind of a great time for people to kind of assess, like, how are you doing in your role? Is there a functional area that you've been curious about? Do you love your current position and want to stay in it? So each of the GEO associates and like state admins and key leaders will be reaching out to all of the leaders just to kind of like check in, see how you're doing and where you want to go on your leadership path. So more to follow on that. Also, if you have EMS views that are keyed to a particular metro, you'll have to go back in and make sure that the new metro name is entered in. So I anticipate hopefully by next week, these new metro boundaries will be solidified. We are still accepting feedback, so I'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide. Also, just want to kind of point out, this is mostly transparent to gray shirts. They essentially have no idea what the name of the metro is that they live in. There's nowhere really that they see where it actually talks about that. The closest thing would be when a gray shirt logs into roll call. On the left-hand side, there's the 4 POCs, metro, state, region, and territory currently. And so their metro POC, would be like the closest thing, but it does not even say the name of the metro. So this should not impact the gray shirts themselves. One thing I'm really excited about is that we're doing away with rural. There are a ton of gray shirts currently that live in areas of the 5 states of South Central that are considered rural, which means there's no leadership team at all beyond, lower than state level that helps facilitate or work with those gray shirts. The only communications they're getting from Team Rubicon are things that are sent by national. They are getting op notifications, and then they would be getting like state or territory level newsletters, but no like local communications. So this will be exciting that like every gray shirt in the territory will have like a local team that they can reach out to, ask questions, work with, potentially step into leadership with. So next slide, please. Kind of wanted to talk a little bit about like how we came up with these. So the GEO associates have been working with some key leaders, and then kind of feeding that through all of the leadership base. We want everyone to be warned in advance of what's happening and to have a voice in the process. So if you have feedback or suggestions or recommendations for metro boundaries or things that we might not have considered, please definitely reach out to your GEO associate and let us know. We do want to try and lock this in by the end of day Wednesday. So you have a couple of business days to kind of go through, look at the slide deck as Drew will send it out, and kind of look at each of those areas and just kind of see if it makes sense to you or if you have any suggestions. We really base this off of a few things. Gray shirt and like US Census Bureau population for different areas. We're looking at local or cultural significance, particularly if there's like Native American tribal nations and those kinds of considerations. We also, for Texas and Oklahoma, really tried to follow the Council of Governments boundaries. So those boundaries are actually like collections of counties that the states use to, to manage themselves. So like, the Texas Association of Regional Councils, like Steve can talk a little bit more about that than me, but basically like that's kind of how, the emergency management space currently operates. So we're aligning ourselves kind of with that community, especially in Texas. So we took the counties that are part of those councils of government or COGS, and then that's kind of like we grouped COGS together into our metros. Our goal was to try and have 5 or less metros per state or chunk of Texas. South Texas is the exception. They have 6 because they don't have another area besides South Texas. This just helps with span of control, ensures every gray shirt has leadership support at the local level, or as local as possible, and allows small teams to combine and share the load. So this should really help with bandwidth. Instead of like city administrators being alone and unafraid, now we can kind of combine forces and work together towards common goals. Any questions on that? All right, thanks.
Thank you, Amanda. And I guess we're going to kick it back to my man, Steve, and his crew.
All right. Elizabeth, you are up first.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. So yeah, we've had a really busy month for the month of October, in case anybody, was missing. So started off with evacuating Crying Eagle to Houston for Delta and got them back in the field after the weekend. Then we had Road Warrior route clearance led up by our very own Larry Montoya. Then we sent a team out for recon for Delta up to Alexandria, did the Houston vehicle staging, shuttling, and swapping every weekend, all month long. And finally, Orange demobed as of this weekend. So it was a really busy October for everyone, along with everything else that happened that you just heard all the geos talk about. So hats off to everyone who made all of these happen. All these things happen and go fairly painlessly. I know it is frantic sometimes on the ground, but it all went off mostly without a hitch. So thank you to everyone for that. With that, Crying Eagle did get extended at Lake Charles until the end of November. So if you were itching to get out there and missed your chance in October or September, you still have 30 days or 28 days. And if you don't have Thanksgiving plans, you can go hang out with those guys. I'm sure they would be very thankful and appreciative to have the support over the holiday. So with that, just you guys can see the numbers on the screen. We've put over 1/6 of the gray shirts on the ground out of the territory for Crying Eagle and Lake Charles. And we did my math is terrible, but that's like almost 1/4 of the gray shirts for Orange. So we really are able to support the region. So thank you guys for everyone who rogered up for that, and just keep kicking ass out there.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Next slide, please. Rick Rosen is deployed, and Mike Webb actually had a meeting with a local government official at the same time. So I'm going to be covering down on the plans. That's a map from today in terms of the ETA. Anyways, it's not coming to us, so whatever. But we do have a planning toolbox series that we started talking about and mapping out what that's going to look like last month. The intent is for us to be able to build out a 3-part series for not just how to use different websites, not just how to use EMS, but the intent is to put a 3-part series together that will end with actually how to run a mission planning team call or a situation update call, and how that actually looks to better set new planners or more experienced planners together in a room, so to speak, or in a virtual environment to kind of share those lessons learned and those skill sets. So look for some more information on that. If you have something that you would like to bring to the table and be a part of that, absolutely hit myself, or Mike Webb up, and we're absolutely happy to get you plugged in so you can be a part of that process. Mike is also, I know that he had a conversation with somebody to get some resources, but like an intro to ham radio. I don't have a current update on what that is, but look for information on that. That'll absolutely be coming. The FOB database is still in play. Elizabeth has been working with a lot of the different stakeholders across TR, from technology to the NOC to different territories. And so you should be seeing some stuff around December or so on what that's going to look like as they build out the technical needs that are needed in EMS to actually absorb it. So that's going to be something that I really look forward to seeing what we can do with it come the next storm season. I think that's going to be a huge advantage. And I think it's pretty awesome that South Central is going to have a stamp on it. We are always looking for planners. We are actually also, Emma has been plugged in to Mike Webb, learning a little bit of how to do more situation unit leader skill sets and doing specialized reports on the ongoing or development of the situation. And so that is something else that we've been experimenting with, and we'll absolutely look at wanting to bring some more people in. As always, we're always looking for planners. The off season is coming. We're entering recovery and mitigation season. What's not on this slide, forgive me, is that we are trying to get final approvals to be able to formally plan and execute a recovery operation that you guys have heard before, that we initially tried to execute before COVID in Victoria. So I'm excited to hopefully see some positive news on that. And so stay tuned. As always, second Monday is our planning call. So if you are a planner, absolutely would love to have you on that. Next slide, please. And I will kick it over to Mr. Tom Walmsley.
So just the biggest, most important update was welcome Oscar to the Territory Field Ops team. We did that this week or last week, so that's exciting. It's going to be a good lift for us. We had a pretty good planning session or strategy session, and so really kind of looking to reset the concept of field ops moving forward, which is going to focus, a training and a mentorship piece of it at different levels. So. We're still working through that, but we're really kind of excited, full of energy. As always, the position-specific classes are out there. Sign up for them. One of the highlights is that we did our first ICS 300 virtual for Team Rubicon about 2 weeks ago. And we'll have monthly offerings of that. We're going to try and kind of cater them around different time zones, East Coast, Central, and Pacific. So I'd ask kind of start looking at folks that you think would be good for CNG, and also know that like CNG now is a lot of technology requirements, and so like being able to manipulate different like spreadsheets and PowerPoints and Word documents is also a skill when it comes to CNG. So kind of having to start building that list out is going to be the big thing. And our monthly call on Monday the 16th. That's all. Love you, Steve.
Thank you, brother. Next slide. And I don't believe Anthony was able to make this one. He had a conflict, so we're going to go to Julia Grabowski.
Hey, everybody. We've all heard a lot tonight about the demob of Crying Eagle out in Orange. We wrapped that all up really fast. There's more people than we could possibly hope to thank for making that successful. But I would like to give one special shout out to Doug Keaty for being really instrumental in that, helping out so much with all of the saws, getting them all packed up, cleaned up, ready to go back to the right places, sorting out all three kits from each other, along with things that had to return to the NOC, and was literally still packing up cots by the time that I ran out of there. So yeah, you've heard, we got the trailer 601 back to Houston, 602 went back to the DFW area, and that New Mexico chainsaw is at the NOC right now, will be getting shipped home by Cal shortly. We do still have one trailer that it's deployed out to Crying Eagle in Lake Charles. That's the trailer 650, our newest, shiniest one that has its home out in the Baton Rouge area of Louisiana. Next up is going to be the territory logistics meeting, and that is going to be on November 11th. That is at 8 p.m. on Central Standard Time. And anybody who should be on that call, who needs to be on that call, please make sure you check your calendar. You should already have an invitation to that. And if you don't, please reach out to Anthony and make sure that we get you looped in on that. One of the really important things we're going to be talking about on that call is getting our end of year inventories all set and ready to go. Those are going to be completed between December 6th and the 12th. So one thing we'll be talking about on the upcoming meeting. Thanks so much, and I'll turn it back over to you, Steve.
Thank you very much. Guys, kicking it to Mike Shank.
Hey guys, thanks. A little bit of redundancy between the field ops slides, so I apologize here, but thanks to Oscar and Trish for finishing up the trainer. Give some more depth to that team when it comes back to the territory for execution. There's a site survey virtual train the trainer coming up this weekend. So very curious, just got to control that particular course for the territory as the cadre lead. You're interested in teaching that class and have TR Instructor 1 under your belt, make sure you're talking with Gary. Down the bottom, you'll see the remaining virtual courses that are happening in the field leader areas for the rest of the year. They aren't being taught every weekend after the 15th of November. There's basically one each weekend during the holiday period running into the they're also projecting that we'll continue that kind of rotation where there'll be something every weekend as we go into 2021, probably for the first 6 months. Not related to COVID specifically, but just to keep the virtual domain in play. Like many other functional areas, still recruiting in the training team for the territory. Like to put a deputy and coordinator in, for obvious reasons when folks are doing other stuff, and get quite a few cadre lead positions and state training positions. Probably not metro training positions down the line as we continue to develop a new geographical configuration for the territory. And I just want to give a special thanks to some South Central folks that served over here in Dan the Torpedoes as well. Kelly Wilder, Jen Nieder, Boothie, and Yvonne Montoya. Thanks for sharing some time with us in Alabama and Florida. And if I missed anyone else that was here, I apologize and thank you as well. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mike. Handing off to Jen.
Hi, everybody. Hi, I'm Jen. For anyone who's been on and off with me. Talking about membership tonight. Outreach is really kicking ass. Our 0 to 14 days for the territory are sitting at less than 35 people that need to be reached out to. Metros are still doing virtual campfires and coffees. I know specifically San Antonio has been working really hard to get some more member engagement. Little talk about who's part of membership. I know it's been on the slides before, but I cannot stress enough that we are all a part of membership when it comes to outreach to gray shirts. How can you help? You need to know who your leaders are in your area, in your territory, and I would say that you need to be forever learning. Ask questions, take online courses, really meet up with the training team and see what it is that you can do that can be information that you can then pass on to new gray shirts. Work on your elevator pitch. If you don't already have one, they're easy enough to build up and easy enough to do. Practice it in the mirror. And that way, when you're out and about, somebody asks you about your shirt that you're wearing and you can say, oh, let me tell you about Team Rubicon. And then you just lay it out there for them. You'll be surprised how many people will sign up just based off of that one-on-one interaction. And volunteer to do outreach. If you are not on the membership team, We still ask that you, if you have extra time, if you want to help out with outreach, please get a hold of me or get a hold of one of the Metro leaders or your state leaders, and we can get you hooked up helping us out with outreach. Membership teams over on the right, you can see there are still some vacancies. And most importantly, I would like to, even though she's not on the call tonight, I want to welcome to the South Central Territory Outreach Coordinator, Jen Lowe. And I believe that Drew already has dubbed us Jen Squared or something to that effect, if I'm not mistaken. She is Jen with 2 N's. I am Jen with 1 N, just for your knowledge. Next thing that we have coming up that's big, and I believe that Apri will probably mention it as well, is Gray Matter, the game show edition, will be this Thursday, November the 5th at 8 p.m. And that will be Trish versus Dennis. It's going to be a pretty good one. I don't know how many of you saw the last one. It was great. There's actually probably going to be a rematch because they legit tied. I kept real score and they tied. So there's probably going to be a rematch there. My request to you all is to get the word out to non-leadership. We love to have everybody there. Love to see you guys all on there. I hope that you enjoy it, but we really are trying to outreach to newer members so that they can get to know some of the leadership and some of the staff and get a little bit of direction that way and get a little bit more personal with them. Our next membership territory sync is scheduled for November 24th. That is the Tuesday right before Thanksgiving. That might be changed, but as of right now, it is still scheduled to go on as planned. And with that, I bid you adieu.
Adieu, adieu. And Genko, do you have any technological updates for us, sir?
Hey, there you go. I don't have a lot this month, which is nice, but you can go to the next slide, Drew. So that first item, general and functional onboarding, is now available for you on your leader profile, and we'll go to that when we go to the next slide, but we'll stay on this slide for now. I left that Expensify FAQ is on external access. We talked about that last month, so I won't talk about it again, but I left it on there in case you didn't get the link last month. You can give that link out to anyone outside of leadership, and they'll be able to go on there and learn how to do their Expensify reports. So over on the right-hand side of the slide, just some changes on roll call. There's additional options were added, which added different branches of service, including the Space Force and the Space Force Reserve, which I swear to you, I thought was not a real thing. So for former and current military members, you can now put your primary and secondary MOS. And, oh, what happened? Oh, there we go. And then a new version of the 211 form was also added to EMS. And Drew's messing with my slides. So there's been a course update, which I think is a new course. Mike Shen can comment. I think this is a new course, but it's PIO 101, which is Introduction to Public Information Officer, has been added. And then for a best practice, when you share views in EMS, be careful if you share it to a distribution group, because if you share it to someone, they can't take it out of their list of views when they do the pull down. So as an example, I have 38 views that are shared with me. So when I try and find my own views that I've created, I have 38 other ones that people have shared with me that I cannot get rid of. So just keep that in mind when you go to share views. If you do it to a whole group of people, you're going to force them to have that in their list of views. So just something to keep in mind as a best practice, to probably minimize that and only share with targeted people when you share views. So back to general and functional onboarding available on the leader profile. Drew, or Steve, if you go to the next tab. And this is what it looks like on your leader profile. So if you go to your own leader profile, you could go in and it'll tell you, it should show all of the onboarding that you've completed. So you should be able to go in there and it should be correct. If it's not, let me know, drop me an email and let me know that it's not correct, and I'll see what I can do to figure out why it's not working. This is a new feature. Sometimes we have problems when new features are added, but take a look and let me know if you have any problems. I just grabbed a generic blank one for this demo, but yeah, you could take a look at your own and see if you've completed these, if it shows correctly. And that's all I had this month. Thanks.
Thank you, Ed. And that's a great reminder. The general onboarding classes are running again this week. I believe culture is tomorrow. Then they go from there. So if you're looking to distract yourself from the news, it's a good way to spend an hour. Apri, the floor is yours, madam.
Do I get my slide? Oh, there we go. All right, guys. Hi, my name is Apri. For those of you who don't know me, I'm with Wellness. I wanted to start off by giving a shout out to everyone who showed up for yoga on Friday. It's probably going to be my new favorite thing. For those of you who did not join us, the model in our beautiful picture here, Junior, did yoga chainsaw themed. He was quite creative. And I have some great pictures on the next slide to share with everybody. We hear rumors that he's going to do the next one from the field and make all the Sawyers do it with him. So stay tuned. It will be fantastic. The whole point of doing some of these things is we really want to model how to achieve resiliency and how to cope with what's going on in the world right now and how to stave off burnout. We've got a lot of gray shirts right now who are feeling pretty burned out, whether they're being stuck at home because they can't get out and deploy, or they're out in the field and they're just feeling really run down. Mental exhaustion is a real thing right now, especially with COVID going on. So we've got some other fun things coming up with Wellness. We've got our game shows that Trish talked about. I'll give another quick plug for. These have been so much fun, and we would love to see even more people get out there. And I don't know if y'all can hear my dog. She's squeaking like crazy. Get out there and really try and get our new members to kind of join in the fun and get to know some people on a better level. We've got a couple of workshops that Wellness is working on. We have the burnout one that Sherry and I hosted last week, I believe, and we'll keep doing that on a monthly basis. And then across the territories, we're working on some more. So the resiliency one just wrapped up, and hopefully we'll get a product out to people here in the next few weeks. We're still sending out care packages and cards. So if you know of somebody who really just needs a little extra encouragement or is really kicking ass, we would love to know those things. We've got the Warrior Wednesdays where we're trying to send out some of that as well, just to highlight the people who are doing great things. So please send those names to myself or Trish. We're both really taking the lead on the care packages and cards, especially Trish. She's doing a fantastic job. And we're working on our resource guide still. I'm going to kill this dog. Indy. We're working on our resource guide right now. So if you have some really great mental health resources in your area, please send them my way, and I would love to add them to the resource guide. And last but not least, we are prepping for the holidays. We know they're going to look very different this year. We're not going to have a great Christmas party at the Knock or anything like that due to COVID. So we're trying to figure out some other ways of getting people involved and still feeling connected. Some ideas that we're throwing out there right now is having a couple of virtual nights where maybe we do some ornament decorating virtually or cookie decorating, that kind of thing. Maybe working on having people do some cards to send out to our local VAs or nursing homes, that kind of thing. So we can try to get people more involved and just feeling connected. And if I can get it approved, we are going to try to do a holiday scavenger hunt that will be all distance. So don't worry, I'm not going to break any EMS rules or COVID rules, but we are working on trying to figure out the scope of that and how we could make it be something that all the metros could do. So I also figured if I pitched it in here, maybe I have a better chance of getting it approved. Next slide, please. And then here are pictures for your viewing pleasure. I don't think you can really tell from the one of Junior on the right, but he did in fact hold a chainsaw for one of his pictures. So enjoy. That is it for Wellness.
is it possible to get this turned into a hood ornament? Like, does anybody know a good metallurgist?
It feels
Send
necessary.
me,
Yes.
send me a high resolution picture of or copy of it, and I can get it done.
I see some good options out there. So this is actually my only 2021 goal now.
Yeah, if there's a junior hood ornament, I want one ordered from you too.
It's the next conference swag.
All right, just some brief comms updates covering down for Britt. Signal boosting, the start small effort that ask is still ongoing. If you're not tracking, we're trying to get Jack from Twitter to give us, I think, $20 million or something like that is what we asked for, which is like half of our annual operating budget. So if we could get that to help us operate during COVID, it'd be pretty incredible. And then we have some ongoing asks out there for end of year reflections and our Veterans Day recognition. We've had Jim Peters and Elizabeth and some folks working on getting some of the Hometown Heroes press releases out, but still looking for some more names and faces to associate with that. So if you guys have them. And then last but not least, the Metro newsletters are still being driven on. I saw a test today from Amanda's team, and I know some of the other folks are working on that as well. So continue to push stories and responses and feedback to those teams so we can get that story yelling going. I will tell you guys, like, in terms of like overall goals for the territory for 2020, that was one of the ones I wanted to drive on, and we didn't quite get there. And so going into 2021, it's going to be a much bigger and more organized push from me and from others. But we are excellent at executing, and we still have some work to do in terms of telling our own story, both internally to each other, but also externally, and how we tell that story in social media and to donors. And those parts are really important, not just because it's a wonderful payback for the volunteers who invest time in the organization and the donors who give money to see where that energy is going that they're devoting and where those finances are going. But they're also great recruiting tools. They get more folks see these cool guy stories and they're like, hey, I really wish that was me, or I really want to get a part of that. I want to be a part of that organization. The story that I heard out of Orange last week, and if you guys haven't heard it, you should get with Rick or Jess or some of the folks who are out there. But we had a SAW team on the ground that put a tourniquet on a homeowner who was moments away from bleeding out and literally saved his life. And it was an incredible story, an incredibly powerful story. And we as a group just capturing all those moments, putting them out and sharing them, it's such an important part of what we do driving forward. So I just wanted to highlight that as I saw Jen's face. I was like, yeah, let's see, race stop. So overall, keep driving on that. But the stories that you guys do have, the reflections that you have as you look back at your 2020 with Team Rubicon, please do drop, click the link when we share this deck later and get your story in there, because it does help us overall both continue to drive forward and to pull more people into the gray alongside you guys. Cindy was tracking. See, Cindy knew. Moving forward with the We Are All Gray initiative, which, as you guys are tracking, is just our effort to continue to boost our ranks and awareness to represent all people. Just a small plug on this month, we have our book club. Our second meeting of the book club is scheduled for this Friday at 6 o'clock Central. So if you guys are interested in that and don't have the invite, I managed to not send it to the entire territory this time. So please do reach out to me and let me know. We are, 2 sections in, but it's not too late to get in there. So if you missed the last one, jump into that one. It's a pretty interesting time, and I love hearing the opinions and the reactions from you guys. So please do join us on that. Oh, I went too fast. So let me pause now and let Steve describe the impetus behind our volunteer recognition.
All right, so he's unfortunately not on. He got stuck with, obviously, in a very selfish manner, IC duties. But Rick Rosen, and a cool tidbit there. I wish he was on. He tried to get on, but he just couldn't get away. That is not him making a face, just so everyone's aware. This was just his natural resting face as we were discussing the demob of Orange and the extension of the other half of Crying Eagle and the evacuation process and what all he was about to undertake. And I asked him, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, why?" I was like, "No reason." Just captured the photo and held on to it. You never know when you need a face like that. But Rick, we have so many of you guys have deployed for so much. Mike Shank has been out there doing a lot of rotations and everything in recent months and everything. But I wanted to highlight Rick. He's the territory deputy planner. If you don't know who he is, he's also an IMT coach, not an IMT mentor. We're transitioning to the coach word this year. But he has done 120 days, and that's today. And he's still dispatched through at least December 1st. And so he has put a significant amount of time on the books on core operations, EOCs. He went up to Chicago, Las Vegas. He was the IC in the medical response to the Navajo Nation for a period of time. He's been all over the place, all the territories, and I'm super proud of the impact that he's had and what all he's been able to accomplish. So just give him one when you see him. Let him know, to keep up the good work, and hopefully he enjoys the holidays at home for a change this year. But hopefully, if you don't know Rick, I'm sure if you deploy, you will meet him, because at this rate, he'll probably be there.
I'll just pile onto that. I had the privilege of being Rick's coverage when he was out changing his socks down in Orange. And I mean, I know we've had a lot of hands touching that operation over the life of it, but he really owned it for the last, half of its existence, basically the entire month of October. He was down there as the incident commander, and, everything was running smoothly. Morale was probably some of the highest I've seen in an operation. I was, in and out, and, basically anyone probably could have managed it because he'd set it up so solidly with well-trained gray shirts, well-trained command staff team, just solid work, solid experience all around. But another thing that I will give him a ton of credit for is his being a standard bearer for the culture. Rick has made the cultural principles into a sticker that he gives out to all the gray shirts that deploy with him. And especially on these operations, if you guys haven't been out, one of the things that we see on these larger responses, we do see lots of first-time deployers, people who aren't familiar with the organization, may not have all of the cultural touch points that some of you guys who've been around a little bit longer do. And Rick has really internalized that awareness that as a leader, as a volunteer leader out there, it's really on him to be that person who helps showcase what Team Rubicon's about and how to teach them and educate them about our culture. And so he's got the cultural principles that he passes out to everybody, and he incorporates that into his briefs to them. And some great tricks and tips in there that you guys can steal going forward. But so yeah, so give him one, and thanks to everybody who's been working with and supporting him through his many days out there, because you guys are all a huge part of that as well. Okay, so rolling out from here, just some overall announcements as we continue to wrap up the year. Just a reminder, Steve touched on it earlier, but as we kind of bring 2020 to a halt, we still are kind of engaged in this tactical pause as the organization reassesses and reconsiders what life in the time of COVID means for us. I have some thoughts on that I'll share in a moment, but just continue to be open and responsive to new disaster opportunities that come up. But we're still not out there hunting down service projects and mitigation projects as we have been in time past. So just do remember that if you are interfacing with emergency management or community partners, that we're trying to maintain our focus on the real emergent needs. So things that we can hold off till things are more stable, we are holding off. Sort of semi-significant, but also probably not too surprising to a lot of you guys. Obviously, as we continue through the times of pausing, we had talked originally about bringing in some longer-term support as backup while Brittany is deployed. We're not quite in that place to bring in that longer-term support, but one of our young ladies who's been working really hard on the leased employee side is going to step up to help out with some of the responsibilities that Brittany would normally be covering. So Elizabeth Saunders has agreed to start helping out with some of the readiness tasks. So if you guys start to see her cover down on some of those roles and pop into some of those meetings and take over some of the work that Brittany would have been handling, that's why. So please give her all the help and support and cooperation that you would give Brittany herself, because I know that Brittany and Elizabeth both appreciate your support and patience while she navigates through some of the mess that I left by being Brittany's backstop for 2 months. So apologies already for that. This month, we will be launching probably within the next week our annual recognition rollout. Expect it to be very similar to some of the processes that you've seen in the past. So we'll open it up to all South Central leaders to submit names for recognition. And we'll keep that open through mid-November, and then we'll compile it, and for the rest of the month we'll open it up for voting after that. So folks will have the chance to vote on the identifiers. Will be stripped. It'll basically just be a description of the contributions. If you guys have been through this with me before, I will ask that you even if you're able to identify who the person is or you think you are, as we work through that, just treat them like they're anonymous, especially because what we don't want is we don't want people to weight things fairly or unfairly. We want the work to speak for itself. So oftentimes I've seen people try to do that, to have it go awry. So don't be the person who screws up and accidentally votes for the person you don't mean to. I'm going to toss most of those votes anyway. So just try to weigh them all fairly, and we'll have them all submitted in a reasonable time. And we're going to do that recognition on our Go Day event, which is tentatively scheduled right now for 1/16. It'll be a virtual sort of discussion and commemoration of Go Day, and we'll include our annual recognition for that. And then last but certainly not least, Salute to Service is up in just this coming week. So that's always a big event for Team Rubicon. I expect to see a lot of people put a lot of effort towards that. The organization gets a lot of its bills paid during that event. So, pull for that team. And if you're asked to support, please do. So last but not least, closing remarks on coronavirus. I think that everybody is sort of paying attention to the news a little bit, but we're missing the big story because we're all focused on the election tomorrow. But if you guys aren't following the trend lines, coronavirus is surging basically everywhere right now. If you haven't seen what's happened in Europe, they're starting to lock back down again across a number of European countries, including most recently England. It's hard to think that we will not also be there ourselves soon. So what does this mean for us and for the work that we're doing? It means that we're going to continue to do, what response work we can, where we can. We will do it as safely as we can, but it also means that we probably will not see a significant change in how we're operating for at least the next couple of months. So, all of this time that we've been running without in-person events, without service projects, without mitigation projects, I don't expect that to really adjust before 2021. And I'm not sure when in 2021 we will see that happen, though we're trying to build some of that into our projections, like ways we can do it safely, ways that we can mitigate against these risks. But, all of those things will sort of depend upon us having, the funding available to do it. And the funding comes from economic stability, and economic stability comes from people getting a handle on the coronavirus. So there's a lot of sort of dominoes that need to fall the right way for us to stand some of the stuff back up and be able to get out of a response-only environment. So what that means for us as we drive through the end of the year is it means that we continue to do the things that we do well, right? We're in the South Central Territory. We're one of the most disaster-prone responding territories on the face of the planet. So I expect that there will still be lots of work for us to do. And in the meantime, we're going to keep, supplying our rigs with these virtual events and these virtual orientations. All of the training and all of the development and recruitment that you guys have done has been really incredible in the face of the unprecedented circumstances that we're in. And we're also taking this time to do some resets and some reconsiderations. So you heard a lot of that from Amanda and the geographic team tonight, how they've been reorganizing themselves. And I really encourage you guys to take advantage of that and sort of embrace that. It's a great opportunity when we don't have quite the same tempo of, in-person trainings and mitigation projects and everything else running like crazy. It gives you some time to sort of sit back and think about what you're doing with Team Rubicon. Are you still enjoying it? Are you having fun like you were when you first started, or is it time to kind of think about maybe changing roles or stepping into a different role within the organization? Start having those conversations with the geographic team. They're here to support you guys and to get you guys situated so that you have something that you enjoy when you log into roll call. We want you excited. We want you having a good time. And we want you to feel supported by the organization and by this team. So remember that that's what we're here for, and that's the goal for everyone here. And then last but certainly not least, you heard a couple times this call tonight that people weren't on because they're out changing their socks, and you heard a encourage everyone to do it as well. We're getting into the holidays. We're getting into times that people would normally all be taking time off and thinking about, just eating food and getting ready for Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's and all these things that are coming up. So, make sure that we're still taking time to do that, even in this strange time that we find ourselves. It's important to take that reset time for ourselves individually so that we can be our best for Team Rubicon. We are 3 minutes over the promised conclusion to this call. I have probably talked way too much and way too long. I appreciate you guys and all the work that you've been doing to get us where we are. I'm excited to finish out this year strong, to finish out the operation strong, and to get ourselves set and ready for a kick-ass 2021. So thanks, everyone.